is so the project is to streamline the process of booking a medical appointment by users and managing the volume of appointments by the hospital admins. So it would allow patients to easily book their appointments, get notifications, provide relevant information to the doctor beforehand, and also, they can also reschedule or cancel appointments. And it will enable the clinic to streamline its appointments and daily tasks. It enables the hospital admin to reduce their mundane tasks of scheduling appointments manually. So the application will be developed with two dashboards, one for the patients to create their profile, and then another for the hospital admin to have an overview of the appointments booked and then manage the process seamlessly. So that's the background. So purpose, okay, we didn't have a name here. So it will be an application that can generally assist people in booking medical appointments, get notification, and also to management of hospitals to streamline their mundane tasks of confirming and booking all scheduled appointments. Target users, there are two broad target users: adults who are at least techie savvy, so that they need to have a bit of knowledge so they can navigate the application, and then hospital admins who want to monitor and streamline booking and rebooking of appointments. Okay. A success metrics is to increase adoption rates by 50% from launch dates, and the metrics will be measuring at number of signups you're able to get, number of appointment books, number of patients that have been attended to via the application, increase retention rates by 20% every quarter. So we're going to be measuring our daily and monthly active users, the reviews, and the rate of bookings completed. We're looking at completion, drop-off rates, and then of course repeat transactions and the number of time users use the application. So for system specification is Nigeria, default location is Nigeria. Currency is in Naira. So we're including currency because some hospitals may request for consultation fees, upfront payment of consultation fees. So they would have that option when we're onboarding the hospitals. They have the option to include their, if they have different rates, to include that. So currency will be in Naira. Geolocation, the location will automatically change to settings based on the user's location. All formats will be in a local format: date, time, format, phone number, account number, everything will be in a local format. The application will also enable push notification and alerts. So when the person has already booked, so you'll be getting push, maybe the appointment is in like 2-3 days, you get push notifications to remind you that, okay, this is where your appointment is. Data privacy in compliance. So we'll let you know terms and conditions for how we use your data, the kind of data we're collecting, how it is stored, and how it is used. So you know that it's private and it's non-intrusive. Audio trailing, recording and retrieval, all user activities will be stored. It's going to be cloud-based, so everything is stored to the cloud. So even if anything happens, you can easily retrieve information. System will be designed to provide business insights and data-driven decision-making for both, of course, the hospital admins especially. Structure, availability and recovery, disaster recovery. Solution should be replicated to ensure business continuity. So if an admin that has been managing it today leaves, somebody else comes on board, they should be able to pick up from where the person stopped and continue with the operations. Data backup, all data will be collected and backed up for both transaction and non-transactional data. Database structure, tables on the admin database. I'm sure the UI guys will understand all this. Data updates.
Yeah. So basically for the disaster recovery, let me just go back up a little bit before you continue.
Okay.
Yeah, just go up a little bit, please. Okay, yeah. Okay. So for the disaster recovery, what that is basically trying to say is, let's assume something happened to the cloud server. So the platform should be configured and built in such a way that if something goes wrong and everything is probably deleted from a node, right, or something happens to that node where your storage or maybe your database resides, there should be an implementation for recovery, right? So it's also referred to in a way as chaos engineering. It's a way that you are able to manage, chaos and disaster when it occurs. And I think it's also similar to what you have there, data backup. So I think this is nice. It's good that you guys get to also understand stuffs about availability, recovery, and the structure of your system. Even though it's not really a big deal on on the entire team's table, right? I think it's something that is important to the engineers and also to the product managers. At least you need to understand how your product is being stored and organized, and the necessary recovery plans that have been made on the platform or on the server. All right, so you can proceed to the requirements.
Requirements. Okay. So there are two core requirements. So we have requirements for the users and requirements for admins. So I'm starting with the requirements for users. So the feature, you will have a sign up page. So yeah, users can sign up for the app on the sign up page. They should be the acceptance criteria. So the idea of the sign up is as long as they sign it, then they can access the features of the application. So they should be able to sign up. There should be a sign up page. The sign up page will collect their basic information: name, email, password, phone number, and age. And then users should be asked to verify their email address once it's registered. So it authenticates that for them. Then there's a sign-in page. So once you register, you can just come in again and sign in as a user. You should have a forgot password option, so they can retrieve and then they can reset, users can reset their password. And then for security, once you request for a password reset, you get either an OTP or a one-time email link to the registered email. That's registered email or registered phone number, just as additional security. Profile page, so users would have access to their profile page where so once they've registered, they will have a profile. They'll create their profile page, can include their pictures, put their other information on it also. So where they can add personal details about themselves. Profile page also allows them to access available hospitals in their location and what have you. Acceptance criteria, users would have a profile page. They have permission to edit their profile whenever they need to. Maybe they want to change the profile picture, or they change location, they need to change their location. So now, so except for the dashboard, right? The dashboard shows all related information to the primary activities of the user. So it would include all the information: booking, hospital availability, all the transaction, everything the user has done on the app would be contained on the dashboard. We'll have that, they'll have it on the dashboard, so they can always refer to it if there's a need to. Then it will also contain map features. At the last meeting, we had someone mentioned because of the geolocation thing, to have map features. So we included that also. So map features that points to the location of the selected hospital. The settings page, on the settings page, yeah, so the user can adjust several things on the settings page. They can change their location. If they change location, change their color scheme. So it's not just flat and boring. It can be personalized. It's more like personalizing your profile page for themselves. So they can also adjust their security and privacy settings, change their color scheme as desired, and whatnot. And then also it allows them also to determine how they want to receive notifications. So once they book the appointment, right, they have options of whether they want weekly, daily, monthly, or bi-weekly notifications. So they tick that one on their settings page, and then they get notifications as selected. So for the admins, that's the hospital admins now, the admin can sign up on the app on the sign up page. It's their feature. They also have a sign up page. So now what they're going to be signing up is the information of the hospital name. So not their, I think I should write this as hospital admin. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Hospital admin. Okay.
Hospital admin, yeah. So the admin can sign up.
Are they signing up with different is it different sign up processes?
No. So it's more like, so let me say Arjolad, for example. Let's say an admin at Arjolad. So if an admin, if we're onboarding Arjolad, for example, so the receptionist or admin would sign up with the hospital name. So it's going to be the name of the hospital, the hospital's email, and then the password, and then the hospital phone number. So of course, then if they have more than one admin, then they should have, depending on how they do their process, right? If they have more than one admin, more than one person, they can share the password. So they have more than one person managing the backend, especially if they work maybe shifts. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. And if some hospitals feel that for security purposes, they only want one person to manage it, then that's really up to them to decide how they want to manage it. But it's going to be the hospital name and all the details of the hospital that we use to register to create the profile. And then they would also have a sign-in page. So whenever they come to check how many appointments they have for the day, they can just easily sign in to the platform. We'll have a forgot password option also, so they can retrieve their passwords if they need to change it, if they need to change password or retrieve their password. Profile page, yes, the hospital will also have a profile page. So the details about the hospital will be there. Chief medical officer, basic information on the hospital, the address, the phone number, chief medical officer, basic information that we need to know about the hospital will be on the profile page. So they should also be able to edit it as whenever they desire. So for them on their dashboard, for the hospital dashboard, would also show history of bookings that have been made to the hospital, doctors that were seen, doctors that attended to patients, number of times they booked, number of bookings they had per day, etc., etc. So they would have that on their own dashboard also. So yeah, so that's why. So every admin will have a dashboard. No, each hospital will have it. The dashboard will be particular to each hospital. So that's what we mean here by each admin will have a dashboard. So our Jalad will have his own dashboard. Rodin will have his own dashboard. If the hospital will have dashboard that is particular to the hospital. So the dashboard will contain every information about booking, transaction history, number of patients that were attended to, number of appointments. They can decide to streamline their number of appointments also. Maybe in a day, they can only do 50. So it will show that, okay, this is the number of appointments that were booked and attended to per day. And then they also have the option to update their consultation fees. So maybe if you want to say gynecologist, there's a particular fee you pay. If you want to say dentist, there's a particular fee you pay. If you want to say an optometrist. So it's really up to the hospital to do that. And if they feel that they're not charging consultation fees, it's all well and good. So for those that book particular hospitals and want particular doctors and need to pay the consultation fees ahead, so that's why that option is there, so they can pay ahead. It's going to be optional, actually. You can choose to pay ahead, or when you get to the hospital, you pay. Really, it will be up to the user. So settings page, they also have a settings page that they can adjust. Can help them adjust the total number of patients they want to attend to in a day. So if they know that if it's a hospital that is always very busy, and they know that, look, we can only take maybe like 50 appointments in a day. Once they get to the 50 appointment limit, then it's not anybody that selects us would not accept any appointment again for that day. So this allows them also manage crowd and then of course manage their process also. Okay. So that's it.
Okay, all right. So I want you to share the link. Click on share and copy the public link. Put this in the chat so that every other person can have a copy. What I'm going to first do now is I'm going to just understand some. I'm going to explain some things that I think we should understand when trying to make decisions on building an MVP. And when I'm done with that, we will then try to figure out the MVP on this particular project. So that is why I said you should share it on the chat. So for those of you on the call, you can go ahead, take a look at the chat, click on the link and have it opened up on your end. So that you can, scroll through if just in case Adebola is not, scrolling through. All right. But I know she will definitely scroll through as we explain, as we start to, break down on the sections of this document. And also, let's try to understand what exactly an MVP is. So if you are on the product management track on this call, of course, I believe you already understand the idea behind an MVP. I'm very sure that you have a class or a training as regards that. So basically, I think the person would like to consider, right, when working on an MVP. An MVP in the first place is referring to, your minimum viable product, right? So in order to make some decisions, there are some nice steps that I think is also ideal to consider. And you must not follow these steps in the order that I would mention, but it's good to understand some of these steps. So I'm going to simply mention these steps, and we'll go through these steps one after the other. So I think the most important thing you need to consider is the value proposition, right? So you need to first understand, okay, so what are the user pain points? And that's why I said we should have the UI UX guys on this call, because after undergoing this research and you've aggregated the feedback from the customers that were interviewed, I think from that you should be able to really understand the pain points of the users, right? And of course, perform a ratio to understand the amount of users that have similar pain points or similar issues, right? So after looking into that, with that kind of record, you can then understand the value proposition. So what exactly is the value we are offering to the users? What exactly is the value we are offering, to the users, be it a regular user, who is a patient, or the users at the hospital, right? Because the hospital itself is also a user, okay? And this is how you first, this is the first thing you would want to do, understand the value that we are trying to provide, and or the app is trying to provide. And then, the next thing you would then look out for are the list of features that you've been able to, write down or list out based on the aggregation that was, performed by the PM and the UI UX team. So after this research, of course, there were a lot of, feedback, and there were a lot of, features that you might have discovered that we need to work on, right? Imagine, I think in the previous session, we were talking about this, and someone, I think that was Chika said that every medical practitioner must belong to a medical facility. And yeah, we just try to ensure that we were on the same track. And of course, that's a good idea. Kicking off with a product like this, you don't jump in to say we can make it generic, right? Sometimes it's a good idea to make things generic, but it's very difficult to make things generic when you don't even understand how the system would perform when it reaches the hand of the users. And I think it's a good idea to actually limit the kind of users, and with time we can always scale. All right. And of course, this is a dummy project, and I personally wish that we build it to the level where some of you would want to continue building this, and if possible, convert this into a viable business, from Top Universe, and have you guys, the developers, and the product guys, and the designers of this project work and manage this project long term. But yeah, let's continue. So at least we need to understand the list of features. I've mentioned value proposition. The next thing would be the features, understanding the features, and from the list of features, this is where you have three major things that we usually check for. Now, before we mention those three things, sometimes we get to understand the budget and the timeline. Now, the reason why I'm not going to make this a priority in this our own type of project is because this is not a project coming from a client, right? This is a project that it's a good idea to understand the budget you have on ground, and also the timeline, the timeline you have to develop this project. Sometimes someone can present a project and you discover that, okay, the timeline is just 3 months and the budget is about, let's say, 5 million naira, 10 million naira. This would aid you to understand the amount of resources on ground, and what resource you can afford, okay, within that timeline. And you should be sure that by having this resource on ground or in-house, we should be able to develop this this set of features, right? And those set of features are definitely going to be the most important features, and that's why it's called MVP. All right, so let's put the budget and timeline aside. We'll get back to that. The things we have to look at right now is that, from the list of features, what are the must-have features, right? What are the features that are very important? And, we must have those features because those features are directly, positioned as the primary pain points of the users, okay? And remember that during our research, we actually only researched the the users, right? We did not really, when I mean the users, I'm talking about the patients or the potential, patients that would use this system. But we did not really get to interview someone working in a medical, I don't know if you did, but someone working in a medical facility, who is probably in need of this kind of solution. I don't think we really placed, high concerns around that. But of course, that is something you should do. You always have to interview, both parties. If you have 2 or 3 actors that will be using this application or this system, it's a good idea to interview all actors so that you would get, different point of views and different, different feedbacks based on how they would use it. Okay, based on different use cases. All right. But of course, we'll just proceed with what we have for now because we don't have enough time. And research is not a one-time thing, it's a continuous thing. So when we look at the must-have features, I think that is, it's something that I would say should be a top priority. After listing out the must-have features, it's a good one. It's a good idea to also, list out what we call the could-have features, right? Um, and yeah, we tend to do that because it's a good idea to understand that, okay, these are the items that we must have, or these are the features we must have. These are the features that we could have if we are able to deliver on time or deliver before the timeline, and if we think that this is something we can actually work on um, fast before rolling out the first version of the system or the software or the application. Um, and yeah, it's also a good idea to list out the won't haves, right? So the won't haves are features that you've written out of curiosity, but you have realized that they are not important based on the data you've accumulated from the research. All right. So won't haves is good to be specific and say, okay, we won't have this feature, and that's a good way to also define your application, so that when you're talking about this, people can ask, okay, so would your application do this? You can say, no, we won't have this feature because this application is focusing on, doing this and solving this specific problem. Applications or softwares or systems will definitely grow to the stage where they can always, branch out into doing other things that are, related or connected to the specific domain. But when you are kicking off, of course, MVP, ensure you do the main thing, and the ensure you are solving the main problem, the right problem. And yeah, so I've mentioned the must-haves, the could-haves, and also the won't-haves. After considering these items, the next thing you would want to do is you have to then consider the use cases under the must-haves, right? You have to consider the use cases, the various use cases. For example, we're talking about sign up, and I asked a question, and Adebola said you have to sign up as a hospital, which means you put the hospital name. In my opinion, I think one of the best ways to build this is what we refer to as a multi-tenant solution, right? It's a good idea to have the same exact workflow, which means someone can actually come in and create an account, right? Just create an account with your email and password, and that's fine. There's no stress in doing that. When you're done creating an account, you are met with a very simple empty dashboard. And what happens on that dashboard is you have multiple options. So we can have the option that would ask them to create a medical facility, right? So the person who created the account automatically becomes the admin of the medical facility that he or she have created. And you don't just click and create a medical facility and it works immediately. You're given a form, and you will have to put in some vital details, the medical, probably some documents that would actually make us verify your personal details, then the facilities detail, if you're registered, stuff like that. And when you are able to submit this, probably it will take like probably we'll specify based on the amount of days needed to actually vet those documents. We would specify within 2, 3, 4, or 7 business working days. So we'd actually verify these documents, and then we would give approval if you can create that medical facility on our platform or not, right? And when it is approved, then it's automatically listed on our directory, which is the list of medical facilities that will be shown to the users. And I think it's a very good idea to have it that way. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, so that people will not be overwhelmed when trying to create an account. So you have to look at it this way: how many people would successfully create an account compared to when you ask them to create an account as a medical facility, which means on the sign-up process they would have to put in a lot of details. And most people, I would say like 50% would get there, and they will be overwhelmed, and they probably just they won't sign up. But when you allow them to sign up with a simple email and password, you can always send out marketing campaigns, or also remind them to use your systems. These are some of the things that I think is good to consider. Adebola, can you hear me?
Yes, I was actually going to, I wanted you to finish because I wanted to ask a question. So just to be clear, so you're saying for the hospital admins, instead of them signing up with
Yeah.
the name of the hospital, they should sign up as individuals.
Yeah, everybody should sign up as a user, as a regular user with email and password. When they are done, then they can now choose to create a medical facility. So when they create a medical facility, they become the admin of that medical facility. Do you understand? Do you use Notion?
Okay.
You use Notion, right?
Yes.
So just the way you have Notion, anyone can actually create a workspace. Do you understand? So
Okay.
the reason why that is a good idea is because you are able to then increase the amount of people, the numbers in terms of the amount of people that would create an account. Account creation process should be easy so that you can have more people sign up. So I'll give you an example. If you're trying to create maybe like a store on a platform, and then on the first glance you are asked to create the store immediately, by putting in a lot of details. I can bet you that most of the time some users will be overwhelmed and they will drop it with the mindset of coming back, and they might not come back. But when you allow them create an account with email and password, and you say, okay, you have a few steps to create your store. Finally, you have an account, right? It's not like you don't have an account. The next thing would be to create a store if you want to, or you can just shop from the list of stores on our platform. So when they try to create a store, just because they already signed up, they would get the zeal to proceed. They would want to proceed because they've started the process already and they have an account. Okay, and even if they don't complete that process, it's easy for you to actually message them and reach out to them because you already have their email, because they signed up already, which means they are regarded as a user. Do you understand? Adebola?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. So so I think focusing on the use case and the workflow of the must-haves, that's what I'm still talking about. So now we've looked at the workflow for the login, but there are so many other workflows that we'll have to look at. Now we will not be able to look at every single workflow on this call. Well, let's start off by creating a new document. So you can go ahead, create a new document. And then, or maybe you can do that at the bottom of that document. I think that would be better. Just go to the next page. Just write MVP in brackets, minimum viable product, or you can write minimum viable product in brackets MVP. And let's start by understanding the the value proposition. So if someone should ask you at the bola, if any other person wants to speak, you can also raise your hand. Amaka, you can let me know if anybody raises their hand, and we can allow them speak. So when you look at the application, I think we called it, what's the name that was given to this our application?
I'm not sure if the final name had been decided.
Medbookly.
Medbookly?
Yes.
Okay, so when we look at Medbookly and you are asked to describe Medbookly, right? It has to be short. So I'm going to give you an example of how I would describe a value proposition, right? A written value proposition. So let's assume that we have a platform. So you can say something like, okay, so this specific product provides services to these specific customers within this specific area, right? And they help them do this and that. Okay, so this product provides services to these customers in this environment, and they help them do this and do that. All right, so that is something very short and precise. Now, what is the value proposition that we are offering? So Adebola, I think since you are speaking already, let's communicate. Let's work on this together. If any other person wants to speak, raise your hand, and Amaka will allow you to speak.
I think one person wants to speak.
Okay. Give the person permission, please.
That's Michael Juniors. You can unmute yourself. Michael Juniors, go ahead to unmute yourself.
All right, so Michael, we don't have enough time, to spend on this call. If you can't speak, then I think we can proceed. Okay, so Adebola, please, you can go ahead and tell us, the MVP based on your understanding, like the value proposition. Sorry, based on your understanding.
Okay, so the value proposition, it helps so the application helps users or customers ease medical booking appointments, because it's two-pronged, because it helps users on one end to ease their medical booking appointments, and also helps hospital admins to manage to manage.
Yeah, so we can say book Medbookly helps users to book and manage appointments. I think it works together. Okay.
Okay. Helps users to manage.
To book and manage.
Okay, sorry, to book and manage
appointments.
Medical appointments.
Okay. I don't think you need to have you can just say to book and manage appointments. You know, in Nigeria, we are looking at starting out in Nigeria. So in Nigeria.
Okay, I put the medical since we're only focusing on medical appointments.
Okay, okay. Good. Medical appointments in Nigeria. Okay, so I think that makes sense. Yeah, so another way to also put it is to say Medbookly is a medical booking platform that makes it easy to book, that makes it easy for users to book and manage medical appointments in Nigeria. All right, okay. So I think it's also a good idea. Yeah, so it's Medbookly. That name is confusing, but Medbookly is a sorry, did you say something?
No. Sorry, goodness.
Okay, so Medbookly.
Sorry, it was my kids. Yeah, it's a platform that makes it easy to book and manage. Makes it easy.
That makes it easy to book and manage medical
appointments in Nigeria.
Yeah, makes it easy for users.
Makes it easy for users.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see if we can. So now that you've written that, let's just see if we can even break that down to a one-liner. So if we are to break that down to a one-liner, we can simply say we are making we're making medical booking process swift and easy. I don't know, easy. Yeah, swift and easy, or just maybe easy. We're making medical booking process easy and mobile. Good, makes sense. Easy and mobile. We're making medical booking process easy and mobile. I think that's that. What do you think? Can we make that better, Amaka? Do you think that's okay, at least for now?
Yes, it is.
I think it is. Yeah, actually sounds fine.
Okay. All right. So I think now that we have gotten that is our MVP. That's our value proposition within the MVP. So at least we understand that, okay, if you are asked what value are you guys actually providing, this is the value we're providing. And based on the value proposition now, let's talk about the features. So I want to ask a quick one. The set of features that I can see on this document, were these features written here based on the feedback collected after the research?
Okay, so we had done these features when we had the meeting with Fega using the template he shared. But some of the features already, it also incorporates some feedback we got from the research also.
Okay, so but do we have like a list of the pain points, and were we able to come up with features that were listed that the users were expecting? Did you guys do anything about that?
Okay, in terms of extracting their pain points specifically from their feedbacks.
Yeah.
No, we haven't done that.
I mean, it means we're not building for the users yet. It means we're building for the PM guys. The feature list. So, do we have the UX guys on this call?
Yes, we do. We have some of them on this call.
Okay, so when you look at the list of pain points, based on your meeting, you are supposed to bring out every single detail, have it in a document, Amaka. So we're supposed to have it in a document, and then you look at the pain points, you compare, and then you pick, the pain points that have the highest, amount of requests, and then, you try to organize these pain points and, do like a count, sort of, like a count. So how many people, for example, people said, they want to be able to, book, for example, all right? That's the main point of the application. They want to be able to book, easily. They want to be able to probably perform, activity A or activity B or activity C. We're supposed to know how many people are, expecting to do this, how many people, so how many pain points do we have from different, different persons that were that were interviewed, right? So I think it's a good idea that we do that. Yeah, because it means that we conducted an interview and we are yet to work with the data. I mean, when are we meant to work with the data, Amaka? Did you inform the guys in the UI UX track? So I mean, I expected that I expected that was how we came up with the PROD, because that was the point, to finish up with the interview before we start requesting for PROD and MVP. So basically that's something we should do. Looking at this PROD right now, let's try to list the features, right? So for the I think I would assume that these are the features that you called it requirements, correct? So I see that we have authentication, which is basically sign in, sign up, and forgot password. So let's call that authentication and authorization. Let's group it together. Or maybe we can also separate that, right? Authentication can be a feature. Authorization, by implementing roles, and groups. That is actually standard. So it's not part of the core feature. It's just a standard feature that the app should have, right? So looking at the core features, I would say booking is number one, right? Medical booking, right? That's a core feature. And I can see we have a dashboard. So dashboard can also be a feature, but it depends. So what are we supposed to see on the user dashboard? Adebola, what are we meant to really see on the user dashboard? Because from what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing activities, like it shows their previous activities, which is not limited. Okay, so it shows their previous activities on the, let's say, the appointments that they booked in the past, the available hospitals, and transaction history.
Yes.
Okay.
So, sorry, Mav, let me just quickly point out. So for that, even though I said dashboard there, I think as of yesterday, some of the guys were asking, Anika was asking, okay, the dashboard, what information will be on the dashboard, and I'd explained to her that, oh, it's going to have like the user's transaction history, everything they've done on the app, they should be able to also, they will see it on the dashboard. So apparently now they're saying they're moving it to, they're calling the activities tab. So they're moving all those deals to activities tab. So I'm like, okay, the end goal is that this thing has to be easy for the user to, it has to be very easy and convenient for the end user at the end of the day. So whether I want to call it activity tab, or it's really up to them. So
I think that I don't think that is activities, like generally speaking. I think that is booking history, if that's what you mean.
Let them put it under activities tab. That was what.
Okay, so do you know? So the reason why I said that, when you say activities on any platform, what would come to the mind of products builders or engineers is that let's assume that Adebola changed her password. That's an activity on the platform, right? Adebola updated her profile picture. That's an activity. So we log those activities and we get to list those activities, and so that you can track your activities on the platform. But speaking about a booking history, I think it's better to call that a booking history. Then, you can also have transaction history, right? It's good to, when you say activities is very generic. Or do we have plans to put everything under one activity and then we are able to filter them? Because that is also a good way. So you can have every activity logged and then you are able to filter them at the end of the day. So if someone booked an appointment, it is logged and it is part of the activities, and then you have a key to identify that particular activity. So every activity can be identified by a key. So Adebola booked for an appointment. On the activity listings, we just call it appointment booked or appointment booking. That's a key. So if Adebola books for an appointment, Marvelous books for an appointment, Amaka books for an appointment, on our various accounts, it would show that as a part of our activity history, at this specific time, you booked for an appointment with this specific medical facility and this specific hospital doctor within that facility. Do you understand me? Is that? I don't think that was clear.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Okay, so let me explain again. So an activity, on a platform, basically would describe a bunch of activities. So which kind of activity are we tracking exactly? Is it the medical booking activity or every other activity? Like, let's assume the user changed their password, or the user updated a picture, or the user, made a payment. So are we tracking every single activity, or we are tracking only the medical booking activity?
It's only the medical booking activity that we're tracking. If the user changes password, we just get an email to say they changed password. That doesn't have to reflect on their dashboard, on their dashboard or activity service. Only everything that has to do with their medical booking. So whether they booked, they canceled, they scheduled, they met a doctor, they made any payment, that's what would be captured there.
So that's nice. But I also want you to now look at it from this angle, Adebola. I mean, that's a very good idea, right? You're capturing the medical booking. Let's assume that in the next 6 months, 7, 8 months, we're not considering doing that. Remember, this is the MVP, but it's also good to understand and to implement something that is scalable. And that is why I said we even needed others on this call. When you're implementing something scalable, from the beginning it is small, but then it is easy to add. It's easy to add to the existing item. So if you implement one and you just focus on medical booking, activity or medical booking history, so in 2 years' time or in a year time, the hospitals now say, okay, we want to be able to understand the activities of this user, so that we can use it, to then use data science or something in the future to then understand how this, how many times these users booked for this, for that, how many times they visited the platform, how many times they did this, how many times they did that. So let us call it activity booking. Then for now, we are tracking only the medical booking within the activity booking. Then in the future, we can simply decide to track any other thing, whether it's password change, whether it's a transaction made, or whether it's probably money was added to their wallet. Because now you mentioned transaction, but remember, when you mention transactions, then you also have to start talking about things like wallets, because by default, you are not really allowed to charge someone's or to save someone's card details. Do you understand? So how do you plan that the users would be, do you want to say that on every medical booking, they have to put in their card to pay? Or do you want them to be able to put some money on the platform so that whenever they want to book, they don't have to bring out their card again? Do you understand? You see those things I'm mentioning right now. Those are things we should consider. So let's say booking first is very important. That is like, a key feature, that is what we're doing. That is the pain point we're trying to solve, booking. So then we have to take down booking as part of the MVP. So you can take that down, write it down, medical booking. Then we'll come back to look at the workflow under medical booking. Just write it down, medical booking. That is one feature, Of course, it can be booking, but I'm just attaching the medical so that we understand the domain that we're talking about. So that is one, feature, and I think that is basically like, the most important, right? Then authentication. Let's just take that down. Authentication.
Yeah, I already have the medical booking, authentication, authorization, then activities booking.
Yes, an activity. So I think those ones, those are the most important. I'm taking a look at the other dashboard, and even on the dashboard, I think we still have to streamline it. So for now, our dashboard on the user side is only focusing on the the activities, and inside that activity, we're just tracking the booking activity, which is the booking history. So that makes sense. So now I'm looking at, there's something you mentioned, and that's a feature actually. You mentioned preference, right? You mentioned preference, and if we are going to be tracking, and working with the user preference, I think that is a good feature, but that is not a must-have, right? That can always come in later. Like the customizations you made mention of, customizing colors and those things. So that is not, that is a feature. So if you have a place that you are writing these things down as a feature, because initially you explained it, but you did not really write it out as a feature. I'm looking at, except I'm not looking at the right place. I'm currently looking at
in the PRD, right?
Yeah. I'm looking at the PRD. I'm picking out these items from the PRD. So you did not write out preference. You only mentioned it, I think, from the explanation.
I think that's under the settings.
Oh, okay.
That's where they can make changes to maybe their profile, reset password, change their color scheme, kind of personalize the page for themselves to themselves.
Okay, yeah. So that is an acceptance criteria, and you called it the settings. I personally don't see. So like most of the items you've added here are not really a feature of settings. So for example, password change is still part of the authentication and authentication setting thing, because the password, of course, you have to change that. You should be able to change that password. I mean, that feature will fall under the module of authentication, right? It falls under the module of authentication. Also, I think you said, probably change their picture and all that. That falls under profile, right? That falls under profile. So by default, I don't think. Okay, yeah, profile is very important. Profile is very important. So when talking about profile, we're going to have the profile for the hospital and the profile for the users. Okay. Profile for the hospital, profile for users. Okay, so profile is very important, please, because it's with the profile detail that we'll be able to, also list out these hospitals and track those details. So please take down profile. Just write it down.
Yeah, I put it down as a must-have.
Yeah, that's a must-have. Let's see, what else do we have here? So for the color preference and change of colors or all those stuff, I think that can work under, that can be under preference, but we won't do that immediately, because that is I would say that is a could have, right? So that's a could have. Yeah. We would have to put these items into a spreadsheet so that we should be able to use like maybe color markers or something to point them out. Maybe we can use like green to mark all the must-haves, and maybe we can use like yellow to mark the could-haves. And so I've not seen any item that we shouldn't have or we won't have. I'm only trying to understand. So the most complex part here is the admin dashboard, right? So on the admin dashboard, I'm trying to check out the acceptance criteria. So every admin should have a dashboard, okay? The dashboard should contain information about booking of appointments. And remember that it should contain information about booking of appointments in that facility, right? In that specific facility. So it is based on that facility, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And the transaction history should also be based on the facility, available specialists. So how would the available specialists work? Would the admin be able to turn on or turn off the available specialists?
I think you should be able to. It's not an area where I looked at it. Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so it means the admins on the in the hospital or in that facility would also be the ones to create their specialists. Like create their specialists, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything that has to do with the hospital will be created by once the hospital is onboarded. So specialists, doctors, different roles they have, then maybe the services they render, if there are areas where they specialize in, will also be there. So that if they don't specialize in say dentistry, for example, and you want a dentist appointment, you won't go and pick them for dentistry. It's not, they don't have specialists or they don't render that service, for example.
Yeah, that's nice. So work with me on this, Adebola. Now, you know, I am an admin in the medical facility, right? And I have created my account already. I have created my medical facility. It has been approved. Now I want to create my, you know, medical experts, you know, like the specialists within my, you know, within my medical facility that have been approved. When I create this specialist, how would this specialist access his or her page to see people that have booked him or her?
Okay, so profiles will also be created for the specialists. I mean, that's the only way they'll be able to access their pages.
Okay, so where if this profile is created for them, are we referring those? Are we referring to those profiles as an account? Do you understand me? Are we
Yes,
referring to it as an account?
each profile is an account. Yes, once you create a profile, when you create a profile, you've automatically created an account on the application.
Okay, so as an admin trying to create, you know, like a profile for a specialist within my organization or within my, you know, facility, I would have to put in the specialist email and then give them a password. Is that what you're saying?
It will be okay. It's going to be two ways. So it's either the admin creates the profile or the account for the specialist and they give them the password, or the specialist can create the account on their own and then
Okay,
they
so
can
you know,
access it.
yeah, I get your point. So basically, I've give me a minute. So I was just trying to see how I can. Man, I have two whiteboards here, but they are both filled. Okay, so I'm going to explain something and just take a look at it from this angle. So I am the admin within that facility. I've created, you know, my facility that has been approved, and I want to add the specialist. So I can choose to create a specialist, like, you know, let's assume I create an account for Amaka as a specialist, and then the platform generates a key, you know, very simple, let's say 5, 6, you know, digits pin or something. Yeah, pin. So the specialist would have to enter maybe book medley, all right? No, medbookly.com/hospital1. Let's assume hospital one is the name of the facility, right?
Yes.
Then it will ask you to you know, it will give you like a button. So let's assume this is the page for this the specialist, right? So it will ask you to log in, and you have to log in with that special key. Once you are able to put in that special key, you know, it gives you your page, right? It gives you your page, and that page you would see the list of people that are booked, you know, under your that are booked for your you know, consultation or something, right? So I think that's the best way, so that people would, every facility that's approved, the practitioners or the medical practitioners that are registered under that facility would be able to log in using the facility's URL and this password that was generated for them by their admin. I think that's straightforward. So I don't think they need, you know, this, I'm being specific here. I don't think they need to have a you know, a profile
Special
where they have to
profiles
log
for
in.
themselves.
Yeah, I don't think they need to have a special profile where they would have to log in with a username and password, because they are accessing this from the medical facilities you know, URL or something, and it's easier to then track it, you know, because if you say you want them to have a profile, it's not a bad one. I mean, it's possible, because it means the workflow would then look like this. You know, I am a specialist. I have to create a profile. Then I have to inform the facility that, okay, you know, I've created a profile, and you know, I want you guys to add me to our hospitals, you know, our hospitals, you know, like our hospital facility on the platform. This is my email. It's like telling them to add you up using your email. That is also possible. You know, that's also possible. So I think we have to decide on which one, you know, would work best, right? So do we want the specialist to use a password or a key that was generated by their admin, right? Or do we want them to create an account and then they will be added to the organization or to the facility using their email? So if you have anything to say about that, you know, go ahead and you know, let us know. I think you can raise your hand and we'll let you speak.
I, personally, I think using the key generated works because I'm trying to picture it in my head. Sorry, I just wanted to just describe what I'm picturing in my head. So instead
Okay.
of, I get your point of not having the specialists having to be creating profiles by themselves. It's almost looks a bit clumsy. So sometimes if you've ever had to maybe apply for a job before, right? And then some
Yeah.
organizations they'll have platforms where you input your details, where you kind of create a profile, then they ask you for education. So you click, you say, okay, add education, you click one, add another, add another, add another, add another. So you can keep adding, 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 adding. So I'm thinking, so if the hospital has if the hospital dashboard looks like that, for example, and they say, okay, name of hospital, you put the name, Arjolad Limited, phone number, email, and co. Then add specialist. Then you can click, add the details of the specialist, add another, add another, add another, add another. So it's just added. So they don't have to start creating specialist profiles, right? Then they can input their email. So then they can input their email. So now where there might be a bit of a glitch is that, so how would they know when they are added to the platform? So once the person, would it be possible that once the admin adds them, saves their profile, they get maybe like a prompt on their email to say, oh, you have been added
On their email.
On their email, then there's a URL
Exactly.
click here to view. So once they get that prompt on their email to say, oh, you've just been added to so and so Medbookly platform on Arjalad, blah blah blah, then there's a URL to say click here to see the profile. So they can just click and then it takes them straight to the hospital profile. Of course, they won't be able to edit or adjust anything because we don't want people tampering with it. They now need only the admin that have that permission. Okay.
Exactly. So you're correct, and we are trying to ensure that what we are tracking here is the facility, and from tracking the facility, we are able to see the list of specialists that are under that facility. You understand?
Yes.
So I think the big question here is when a specialist leave a specific facility and start working with a new facility, that previous facility can then deactivate the previous profile that was created for them. So the hospital is the one managing the profile of the specialist. You understand? Because that's what we really want to do here. So it reduces the burden for the platform generally, and also for the hospitals. It makes it easier for them to track, right? So if they want to track and say, okay, how many people booked under this specific specialist that we know and we created an account for, this is the record, right? And remember, I said there's nothing wrong with doing it the other way, but I think this workflow makes it easier, right? We know that the users we are tracking now are the people creating accounts to request for booking and to request for this medical attention, of course, by booking, and also the hospitals. Then we can also track to know the amount of specialists, and this specialist was created by this set of hospitals. So who created specialist A, specialist C, specialist D? We know that they are tied to this specific hospital or medical facility. You understand? So we would have those records. It means we have a specialist record stored somewhere, and it's tied with the what is it called? With the hospital or with the medical facility. So that's not an issue. Now the question is the specialist itself. The specialist feature. Is it a feature? Is it a general feature? Like having specialists. Is it a general feature? And I think the answer, in my opinion, is yes, right?
Yes.
Because the hospital are the ones that can add a specialist. But yes, it's a feature because they should be able to add a specialist, delete a specialist, probably resend the credential of a specialist via email, to that specialist. They would add that email, of course. They would add every necessary detail. So we are sure that if a hospital adds the detail of, we can even ask them to provide certification. I don't know. Do you think we should do that, or we should hold the hospital accountable for, uploading fake specialists? Let's assume someone is uploaded as a specialist and that person is not really qualified and something goes wrong. I think it's better to hold the medical facility accountable.
Accountable for that, as against asking them to upload the verification or the certification of the specialist.
Of the specific specialist, exactly. So we can also, okay. I think
we can hold the hospital responsible. We'll probably like have a caveat in the terms and conditions that will state there that I'm not sure I will carve this now, but
we can always discuss with someone to fix up that part. But of course, I understand what you mean. Like have a disclaimer and also have a way to
yes.
describe and make the hospital.
Okay. Hello?
Sorry, I think I went on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
I can hear
me
you,
now?
Mav. I can hear you.
Hello, Adebola, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. I can hear you. Hello? Nobody's still here. What's this one? It's still not coming up. What happened?
Adebola, can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yes, yes.
Okay, so I
I
noticed it was my network from here. It just went off. What we're going to do is now that we've known the must-haves, we're going to come up with the workflows. I would want to do that on the call, while you guys are watching. I would love to share my screen. I can't do that today because I won't be able to use my laptop for this session. But now that we have these details, I think we can have a call in your stand-up tomorrow. I don't think it will be possible in the stand-up because I'll be going to get new accessories. So I think we can sort this out tomorrow evening, and yeah, let's arrange for a session tomorrow evening so that we can do this together. And based on those workflows that we will draw out and map out, the developers and the designers can start their implementation. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So but for the workflow session, we're going to have, is it going to be everybody?
Yeah, everybody. Yes,
everybody.
Definitely.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah, but this is the MVP, the list of features that we're having in the MVP. So during that workflow session, we just have to describe each MVP, each item on the MVP, each feature, and then the workflow under each feature. So for example, medical booking, you should be able to create a booking, delete a booking, update a booking, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the detail that the teams can use to create their task, each person. So when we're creating the booking, the UI UX team would be able to assign the task to the people that would design the booking creation process, the implementation on the design. And the front end guys would also assign people that would implement that. The back end would also assign people that will implement that. So each feature right here is going to carry what we call a sprint. But I want us to first come up with a workflow. Then when we start having sprint, we can say, okay, for this week, we're implementing the booking sprint, right? And we know that everything that everybody is working on this week is medical booking, right? And then, for the next week, we're doing authentication. For the following week, we're doing activity, the booking activities, right? And then the following, just like that. So let's just do it that way. It might not be up to a week. I'm just giving instances, but that's how it would work. So we're going to break it down into sprints, and we'll take it one at a time. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, I get you.
All right. So we would have this tomorrow. My network just went off, and I'm currently using my mobile internet, and I can't trust I can't trust this network. So I think we would have to stop here for tonight, and yeah, we will continue next time
So we
tomorrow.
schedule for same time tomorrow, 8 p.m.
Yes, I think that works. We can just spend 1 hour because I have a different session by 9 p.m. So we can just do 8 to 9, and everybody should try to make it here on time so that we can fix this up.
All right, no problem. I'll align with Amaka to help us set that up so that we can inform people on time.
All right. So thank you very much, and yeah, do have a wonderful night, guys. I will see you tomorrow.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Marv. Thanks for your time.
All right.
Bye. What's it?